My name is Naren, Dharmanandan. I'm from Sri Lanka. About 2 years ago, one of my friends, who is the board chair of International Needs Sri Lanka, invited me to join the INLK board, which I accepted. I believed that I could sort of contribute towards the growth and the impact of INLK to the Sri Lankan community. And then after a few months into that, and the board actually requested me whether I would become their CEO. So October 2021, that's when I actually joined in as the CEO of INLK, and I'm currently still working there. Sri Lanka is a beautiful, beautiful island in the Indian Ocean, just below India. It has 22.5 million people. It's beautiful when I say it's the geography, it's how the variety, you go up to this hill country, and there's mountains, tea bushes, the temperature. I mean, there are parts of the hill country that are called Little England. It's a beautiful, beautiful island. Buddhists are the majority in the country in terms of religion, and then we have the Hindus, we have the Muslims, we also have minority Christians. Economically, I think many people around the world are aware of the worst economical situation in Sri Lanka since independence, about 75 years ago. This started last year, but these 2 years have been severe. It's been the worst ever. Yeah. Last year, which was the worst year, we had long power cuts up to 7-8 hours. Then we had long queues for petrol and diesel. So much so that there were people who died in the queues. Food shortage, medicine shortage. But I think we are on the road to recovery. But prior to that, there are people who could not put one meal a day on their table. And there are communities still facing the same situation, particularly in the rural area. The government of Sri Lanka has never been able to meet the needs of the communities, particularly in the rural areas. Well, they do try through the divisional secretaries and so forth, but it is never enough. The budgets are never enough for that. So the NGOs actually try to meet the needs of those communities where the government is unable to, where communities that have been neglected or ignored by the government. I'm talking about really remote areas. Although there are government agents, but they do not have sufficient funding to do anything. And that's where I think NGOs, along with international needs, we actually try to meet the needs of these communities. For a few years, we have been working in the area of, in the northern area, where the last bit of the war was taking place. So there was a lot of resettlement of communities and so forth. So we worked with 3 communities there, 3 villages there, where we've been trying to ensure the rights of the children by empowering women. And we worked on livelihood of the women to empower them. We started small help groups for the communities, for the women, and that has really helped in those 3 communities. And we are continuing to work in those 3 villages even now. Then we do have other areas like the rural area community leaders. So what we did was we started actually about a year and a half ago, where we actually tried to give them some funding to start their own livelihood projects, initiatives, so that they have an alternative source of income. And this is an ongoing one. But last year we also, because of the economic crisis, because of fertilizers that were banned by the government at that time, pesticides and so forth, because of that, the economic, the prices of several goods just increased. So some of these leaders found it very difficult. So we had to sort of support them further in order to sort of make this successful for them. It was just a sudden decision by the government, by the former president, just banned all fertilizers and pesticides and decided to go organic. And this, the impact of that, the negative impact, is still felt by the farmers everywhere in Sri Lanka. We have also reached out to certain children in certain remote areas for their nutrition, for their education. This includes digital English classes for them after school. This is particularly being done in the north. And also we did about for 1,000 children, we provided, I think it was just over 1,000 children, we provided stationery, books and so forth, the end of last year, so that it would help the communities, the parents, because the stationery items were so expensive, 3 times, 4 times the normal price because of the economic crisis. We are also working with a few communities in the rural area in the north as well as in the southeast, where we're just sort of initiating those projects. In the southeast, a place called Monoragala, and about 30 kilometers into Monoragala, you find a community with 125 households where they don't have drinking water, and 80% of them don't have toilets. This is very surprising in Sri Lanka. I mean, I personally was absolutely shocked that the Sri Lankans could live without toilets, and especially considering girls and women, they just go to the bush. This is unthinkable. This I never thought was possible in Sri Lanka. Plus, in the north, there's about 55 families in a remote area where they don't have proper drinking water, water for agriculture, livelihood, as well as toilets and proper housing. So these are the current ones that we are working, plus two other villages in the north that we are at the moment considering doing need assessment and so forth. So needs are everywhere, absolutely everywhere in Sri Lanka. We don't need to search for it. I mean, it's everywhere. But then we are wanting to do it long-term, holistic approach, so that our goal to make sure that there is transformation of communities is fulfilled here. The way that we have done this, these specific villages, have been through contacts, our relational contacts. Because I have been working with community leaders in the rural area, particularly the pastors, we are able to identify the needs through these community leaders who know what the ground situation is. So all of these villages that we have identified so far have been through relational contact. Once we identify a particular community, we do a proper need assessment. And considering the need assessment, we identify the urgent ones, like drinking water becomes the urgent one. And the community, we have a discussion with the community leaders and the local government agents and so forth. We have a discussion, and we don't jump into it very quickly. We take time over it. We visit a few times and discuss. And then we start working on the urgent ones, and then step by step we are able to, even through the need assessment, we probably won't be able to identify the root causes. So we try to go into the root of the problem, and that's how we are moving forward, so that we actually approach it holistically and see transformation. International needs in Sri Lanka, our identity is that we are a Christian organization, but our goal is not to do things in order to evangelize people as such, but in order to help the poor, help the vulnerable. So what we do is we actually build a relationship with the local community, with the local authorities, the government, the divisional secretary, and we share with them our vision, our mission, and our values, because we value all people, regardless of their religious background, their ethnic background, or anything like that. We work with everyone. Because we share with them that God wants to empower, God wants to bless every single person in these communities. We really want to see transformation of Sri Lanka. We have a long way to go, but little by little, along with the other Christian NGOs, we really want to see transformation. While we want to work on development, but we are not going to be satisfied with just developments. It's good to have development, and we really want to go for that. But we want to go beyond development to see transformation, change of mindsets, change of communities, change of families. So that it's a transformation that we are really going after. And I often remember the word metamorphosis. That's what we are going for. And in my heart, my personal goal or vision is for INLK to become a model NGO in this. We would appreciate more funding and prayer, plus ideas, suggestions as to what we can do. Because sometimes we are within the community, we might not be able to see certain things. We definitely need, because there is a desperate need, and recently we are looking at this project in which probably about over 100 toilets need to be built, and houses need to be redone, and so forth. So there is safety and health issues are solved. That requires huge amount of support financially and prayer. So as we continue in this journey, we would really seek out the support from the people of UK to journey with us to see our nation transformed as a whole. And in that, financial help, prayer support, absolutely, and your ideas and suggestions are most welcome. I have a dream, and this is something that came out of a British clergy who lived in Sri Lanka, who ministered in Sri Lanka, who loved, absolutely loved Sri Lanka. His name is Reverend Walter Senior, over 100 years ago. And he wrote a hymn, and we call that hymn for Ceylon, now hymn for Sri Lanka. And if you read that, it's a dream. It's a prophetic picture of what Sri Lanka would look like. And that sums up really my heart also for Sri Lanka. Really a nation like no other nation. Sri Lanka is often used to be called, and still is called, Pearl of the Indian Ocean. And we don't want it to be just a name or just something that, just we say it, but we really want Sri Lanka to become the pearl